You finish the roster. You have spent hours on it. You check it twice, you publish it, and within about 40 minutes, someone has already messaged you asking you to swap a shift you just spent 20 hours carefully assigning. This is what happens when the system you used to build the roster could not tell you half the things you needed to know before you published it. I'm Chris Jones, I'm a practicing anaesthetist, and I'm the founder of HosPortal. I want to walk you through some of the decisions we made when building this product, decisions specifically designed so that this does not keep happening to you. I describe HosPortal as a fighter jet, not a bicycle, and that's deliberate. When I started building HosPortal, I wanted a tool that was powerful enough to be able to handle what hospitals actually need, with award conditions, fatigue rules, supervision requirements and term rotations, VMO contracts, on-call structures, and 50 other things that most other roster software has never even heard of. So yes, it's not a bicycle, it's a fighter jet. And like a fighter jet, it takes time to configure. But once you have it configured with your rules and your patterns, you have a complete, sophisticated system that does exactly what your hospital actually needs and that no other rostering system can ever do at Mach 3. So let me walk you through some of the decisions that define what HosPortal is, because they're not random. Each one was a deliberate choice to do it the right way. Decision 1, we built an open rule engine. Most rostering software hard codes its rules. The vendor decides what rules exist, and those are the rules you get. You can adjust the values, but the structure's fixed. You work within what the vendor anticipated, but the problem is no hospitals operate the same. I've seen hospital departments where the roster rule is that 2 doctors cannot be on the same on-call because they're a married couple with young children, and one of them must always be at home. I've also encountered situations where emergency departments have 14 distinct shift conflict rules built around a specific mix of consultants, trainees, and CMOs that exists nowhere else in the country. A hard-coded rule engine just cannot accommodate that. Hospitals all operate differently, and they can't be served by a restricted rule engine. HosPortal's rule engine is open. You define the rules. We give you the framework. Shift conflict rules, work rules, user conflict rules, leave conflict rules, and you tell the system what your hospital needs. Not what we anticipated, what you know. And that's the difference between software that serves your hospital and software that your hospital has to work around. Decision 2, we built an AI that scores tens of thousands of rosters, not one that gives you a single answer. When most people hear AI rostering, they imagine a button you press that spits out a roster, done, magic, and that is the aim. But the magic is making HosPortal's AI think the way you do, flexible and nuanced in making rostering decisions just like you. Following every rule does not make a good roster. The roster that satisfies everyone's preferences might leave a shift understaffed. What you actually need to be shown is the best available option within your constraints, with enough transparency to understand why it was chosen and enough flexibility to override it. So HosPortal's AI does not give you one answer. It tests tens of thousands of configurations per second, scores each one against every rule you've configured, the inflexible ones it cannot break, the flexible ones it tries to optimize, and returns the highest scoring roster. You can see the score. You can see which rules were satisfied and which were modified. You can adjust the weighting on each rule and run it again. Our AI is a very powerful tool, and it's the only one in this category built on top of a fully open rule engine. The result is that some of our hospitals have gone from building a roster manually over 4 days to running the AI and having something publishable in under 2 hours. Not because the AI is magic, not because it understands your rules, but because it understands that your rules need to be flexible. Decision 3, granular permissions. Now this one sounds administrative, but it's not. It's clinical. Here is a problem that comes up constantly in hospitals, the supervisor of the day. Most hospitals have a rotating senior who's responsible for the department during their shift. They need to be able to approve swaps, manage leave or sick requests, see staffing levels, maybe move someone from one area to another while they're on that shift. But they're not a full administrator. They don't build rosters. They should not have permanent access to the whole system. And when their shift ends, those permissions should end with it. Most rostering software can't do this. You either give someone admin permission or you don't. It's binary. HosPortal has dynamic permissions, and you can give a user exactly the permissions they need, scope to the shift they're working, and they disappear the moment the shift ends. The supervisor has what they need when they need it, and no more. Why does this matter? Because in a hospital environment, access control is not a feature request, it's a governance requirement. The last thing you want is a rotating registrar with permanent administrative access to your entire workforce system. Decision 4, end-to-end leave workflow. Most rostering software lets you record leave. Someone applies, you approve it, it goes on the calendar, done. The thing is, the real work is what happens after the leave is approved. Who covers that shift? Does the person being asked to cover breach their hourly limit? Does approving this leave create a supervision gap? Is there already too much leave approved in that period to safely staff the department? Partial automation, recording the leave but leaving the consequences to the administrator, does not actually save time. It just moves the manual works one step later in the process. HosPortal manages the whole workflow. Leave requests come in through the system. The administrator can see, before they approve, whether that leave creates a conflict, a staffing gap, a supervision problem, or a rule breach. They can set rules that auto-approve leave in low-risk scenarios and flag leave for review when it needs a closer look. The roster and the leave system are the same system. They talk to each other. When leave is approved, the roster knows. When the roster changes, leave visibility updates. This all sounds obvious, but trust me, this is not the industry standard. Open rules engine, AI that understands the way you think about your rules, granular dynamic permissions, leave and roster as one connected system. This is what I mean when I refer to HosPortal as a fighter jet. Powerful, sophisticated, comprehensive. I've spent over 20 years as a clinician watching hospitals manage their most important operational problem. Who is on shift, who is qualified, who is rested, who is supervising, with tools that were never built for it. I wanted to build something that actually fixes the root cause. It's not a bicycle. If you want to see what it looks like configured for your department, book a free demonstration and I'll walk you through how this could look for your hospital. So click on the link below and let's get started.